When one of the people who literally pioneered e-commerce for an entire country makes a huge new bet, you really have to pay attention. Today, we're digging into a major new move from Binny Bansal, one of the brilliant minds behind the giant that is Flipkart. So after completely reshaping how people shop online in India, he's now putting his own capital behind a brand new venture. And this could be a major signal for where global e-commerce is headed next. The big question is, what exactly is he betting on? Okay, so the immediate news is a fresh injection of cash. His investment firm just put another $6.4 million into a company called Oppdoor. But, and this is important, this is just the latest piece of a much bigger puzzle. Because that new money brings his total investment up to a staggering $14.35 million. So let's be clear about what's happening here. A founder with a truly legendary track record is putting some very, very serious money into one single company. Which brings us right to the heart of it. What on earth is Oppdoor? And why does one of the sharpest minds in the e-commerce world believe it's worth a multi-million-dollar investment? All right, let's pull back the curtain and see what Oppdoor is all about. This isn't just another software-as-a-service company or some new logistics firm. No, it's positioning itself as something completely different, a new kind of dedicated partner for brands that want to sell their products all over the world. The official fancy term is a cross-border commerce enablement partner. Now, that's a mouthful, but the key phrase you need to focus on is end-to-end managed services. This means Oppdoor doesn't just hand a brand a tool and say, good luck. They actually manage the entire international sales process for them. Okay, that's a great technical definition, but what problem does that actually solve in the real world? If you're a business owner, why would you even need a partner like this? Let's break that down. Well, the answer comes down to a huge, expensive, and super complicated problem that almost every successful brand runs into eventually, the massive headache of trying to expand beyond your own country. Just think about it this way. You could be an absolute pro at selling your stuff in your home market, but the second you decide you want to sell that same product in London or Tokyo, whoa, you are suddenly playing a completely different game with a whole new rule book. And these are just some of the hurdles. It's not just about shipping a box. All of a sudden, you're dealing with setting up foreign legal entities, trying to figure out incredibly complex tax codes, managing local compliance rules, and maybe even hiring people on the other side of the world. It is a logistical nightmare. And this is exactly where Oppdoor's whole model comes into play. It's designed to be what they call a full-stack solution, which is just a fancy way of saying it aims to handle every single one of those hurdles for its clients. So this really lays out the two choices a brand has. There's the old way, the do-it-yourself way, which is just incredibly time-consuming and expensive. Then there's the Oppdoor way, which is more of a plug-and-play model. You just tap into their existing system and their experts handle all that complexity for you. And this list just shows you how deep their service goes. We're talking about managing your sales on international marketplaces, dealing with all the tax and compliance headaches, figuring out the best pricing, and just handling the entire operation from start to finish. The whole shebang. This quote right here, this is really the core of their entire pitch. It is such a powerful promise to any brand that dreams about going global, but gets totally intimidated by the cost and the complexity. This promise just removes the biggest barriers to entry. So where can Oppdoor actually take your brand? Well, this chart shows you the major markets they focus on. We're talking about gaining access to some of the biggest and most profitable consumer markets on the entire planet, and doing it all through a single partner. Now, let's zoom back out and connect all this back to the investor, to Binny Bansal himself. See, this isn't just some random bet he's making. It's a strategic move that's deeply rooted in all the lessons he learned building an e-commerce and logistics giant like Flipkart. This timeline really shows the whole journey, from co-founding one of India's most iconic startups to that massive sale to Walmart, and then making the switch to becoming a full-time investor. This huge investment in Oppdoor is the latest and maybe most significant move in his new chapter. And he's making all these investments through his firm, 3 State Ventures. What's really crucial to understand here is that this is a privately funded firm, backed mostly by his own personal money. This means he's a very deep personal stake in the success of companies like Oppdoor. And when you look at what his firm focuses on, you see a really clear strategy. Yeah, they invest in other things like fintech and healthcare, but commerce and logistics is a core pillar. Oppdoor sits right in the sweet spot of his deepest expertise. He's not just an investor here. He's someone who has spent years solving these exact kinds of cross-border headaches, but at a massive scale. So what does this all mean for the future of e-commerce? By simply removing all the biggest operational hurdles, could service partners like Oppdoor become the new standard playbook for any brand that wants to expand internationally? Well, Binny Bansal, a man who wrote the original e-commerce playbook for a nation, is betting millions that the answer is yes.